why we are here, what the hell we're doing, and where we come from. What I find is that the study of ancient human history is much older, much stranger than we can imagine. Things are not as they seem, very far removed from what we think they are, and everything is connected. And this is where our modern education system plays such an important role in compartmentalizing subjects and knowledge and information. I not only believe this, I know it to be absolutely true, that everything we've been taught is a lie. It is spectacular, the deception by design that has turned us into a species with amnesia. We're told that the ancients were primitive. All the channels, the History Channel, all those, they're still trying to make us believe this. And yet every year, countless new discoveries of megalithic structures, ancient structures, and every year new discoveries are made of vanished civilizations that we know absolutely nothing about. And obviously the reason why these people could build these structures in ancient times is because they didn't have jobs. They didn't have to get up every morning and go to a stinking job that they hated. And then they did more of this on the mountaintop, and then one of them got together, and they didn't have board meetings because they didn't have boardrooms, because they didn't have corporations in those days. So you would sit under a tree, and under a tree would decide, hey, let's build these big things called pyramids. And they went into the desert where there were no trees, and they just built these pyramids. And then one of them said, hey, let's build some statues and put them, in a big hall and make people pray and do stuff like that. And then they said, hey, let's build walls and let faces stick out of the walls, and it'll be really scary and spooky for people. And one of them said, hey, you know what we haven't done? We haven't built a big hole in the ground and put stones around it. So they said, okay, let's do it. Let's just build a hole in the ground, put some stones. And they were sitting there, I said, how are we going to remember all this stuff that we're planning to do? So, well, we better invent some writing and an alphabet. And I said, but we don't have an alphabet. And one of the guys went, huh? I said, hey, that's a letter. Let's just make hundreds of these letters and put them up on the mountain. That'll be the beginning of our alphabet. And one of them said, hey, we don't have a thing that looks like a rocket facing the sky, like the gods, a rocket of the gods. Says, oh, we'll build one of those. So they did build one of those. And then one of them said, hey, you know what we haven't done? We've never carved a whole city out of solid rock. I said, whoa, that's going to be really cool. So they carved a big city out of solid rock. And then they said, we don't have enough pillars and not enough stairs. So they built more stairs and more pillars. And I said, hey, we've never had a floating concrete slab with pillars on top. So I said, oh, that sounds really cool. So they created one. And then I said, but you know what? Apparently, these people in ancient times weren't just brilliant because they could build all this stuff, but they also could apparently hold their breath for very long. And this is why they could build the stuff underwater. And then they went into the jungles and they built weird statues to leave them around because they thought it'd be really spooky for people in the future to find them. And they put weird pyramids next to them that make no sense. Why were these things there? Oh, let's just waste. We got time to waste. Let's build them. And then they decided, one of the guys under the tree in a circle was really smart. He said, you know what we haven't never done? We've never taken a stone and hollowed it out. Whoa, that's cool. So they did that. They hollowed out a stone, and they did many, many more, hollowed them out, and then they went and dug a hole in the ground and built like giant Lego blocks and put them on top of each other. And I think this is where Lego actually comes from. And then they got together and built this big thing that when you look at it from the top, it literally makes you look like your eyes are like vibrating at Borobudur, right? And so it's like moving and while you're looking at it. And they put these giant bells on top pointing at the sky so that they could channel the sound of this vibration into the sky. And you know what the most amazing thing is about these guys in ancient times that didn't have jobs? They did this all with ropes, pulleys, hammers, and chisels.